Model Y Juniper standard. You either love it or you hate it. Or maybe most of you guys hate it. But after owning it for 1 month now, we were one of the first owners to actually take delivery of this Model Y standard. We have a better opinion. And I think it's a little bit more nuanced than people think. And we're gonna answer the question, is it worth it? And I really wanted to do this video after I actually drove the car for about a month. And we had this car, we've done our designs and all that, and there's a lot to like about it. And as I continued driving it, I kind of realized it's a little bit nuanced than I thought. I think a lot of people looked at the price difference as a 5K difference from the premium, and they immediately discounted it and said, this is not worth it. And I think the people who were saying that though were previous EV owners and Tesla owners. So I think it came from that perspective. So I'm trying to look at all of this in an open mind. But let me just do a really quick overview of what I really liked about this. So first of all, I think this is I don't know, some people like it, some people hate it, but I do like the look of it. Some people like the daytime running lights in the middle. It's not a big deal. But what I like about this whole front end is that it already has a soft closing, or I guess self-closing in a way, because on the other ones you have to push it down, and then on this one you just push it down like that and it's done deal, right? So like in the other manual in the Model 3 and stuff, you have to push it down like that with two hands. They're always use two hands, you might dent the hood. Well, now you don't have to worry about it, you can just push it down like that. And I know the front looked kind of bad, but it's okay, it's not a huge deal, to be honest. I really like that they chose the Hankook Ion Evo AS SUV version. This tire really kind of came into the picture for EVs, because it does have to support a heavier weight due to the fact that it's so heavy because of the battery. So honestly, I love their choice of wheels. This is the first time I've seen it on this wheel, so I hope that they continue using this as they continue to roll out their cars. So I mean, there's a lot to like about it too. Obviously the rear is different, but it's kind of indifferent. I like that they, even though it's a standard, they do actually give you the mobile connector right here and the J1672 adapter. So that's really cool. And for the most part, the rear is very similar also, except the fact that it has a cup holder on the back over there. But the construction of it is very similar. You can also put I don't know what this is, the divider that it comes with in the premium in there as well. I actually don't use it and don't have it on my premium Juniper or the launch edition, so it wasn't too big of a deal not having that. So overall, drive is great, and it's not a huge difference, I think. Yes, the suspension's a little bit more rockier. Yes, you hear a little bit more road noise, but I kept thinking, okay, how can we justify doing this video and try to figure out and answer the question? So I think the best way I came, and this is an idea that we came out impromptu while shooting this video too, is let me figure out what I don't like about it and how much I would be willing to pay for it if I were to get this feature, right? So maybe not like it, but would I pay extra to get the premium rear-wheel drive, which is a $5,000, and does it add up to that, or is it more than that at the end of it, is kind of what I'm trying to answer. So first off, I'm not really going to talk about anything that I don't think needs to be done. I think this is I don't think a lot of people will talk about the daytime running lights or anything like that. So let's just go inside and kind of start talking about some of the features. Actually, before we go inside, jokes. First off is this mirror right here. So this mirror does not have auto folding mirror. So if you want to fold it, this is what you have to do, and this is what you have to do. So why does this matter? I think the people who buy it, they might have a garage, they might not. Depends on where you're living. But where we live, I think most houses do have a garage, right? So whenever I go in, I have a 2-car garage, but it's not a huge one, to be honest. So this does make a difference, because I also have stuff in my garage, so it's gonna hit something. So I actually end up not parking this car in the garage because of this. So if I want to, I have to get out, do this, go to the other side, and then do that as well. And then if I forgot to do it, I have to do the same thing. So that's kind of a big deal. I would pay a decent amount of money to actually get that done. So what I'm gonna do though first is I'm gonna just write it down with my lightsaber pen, So mirror folding, I already got it right here. How much would I pay to get this feature right on here? So the other one is, before we go inside, there's the dynamic lights. And the dynamic lights is basically, on a high beam, it can basically adjust and be able to kind of move around a little bit. So it doesn't have that, it's static, so it doesn't move around or anything like that. And that is something that I would probably pay for as well. I understand that it's a lot more expensive in terms of the internal, so I mean, like, it might add up a little bit. So let's now go into the inside, because I think that's a lot more of the details is really in the inside than the outside. So first off, I'm sitting in the textile seat, and if you look at it, it's a little bit more of a cloth. There's a little bit of the faux leather right here as well. But I think this doesn't really bother me, honestly. I think it's pretty common, and some people actually prefer the comfy. But the internal of this is you actually get heated seating for the front too, but not the back. So that may be a deal breaker. So that may be something that some people would like. The other one is cooling seats. So on the premium, you get cooling seats. It's perforated, and you don't get that. I would actually be willing to pay for that, because in the summers of Tennessee, it was really hot this year, and it's just really nice when you can like cool it down, and you get a cool butt. So that's good. So I would definitely pay for that. So the other one is like screen. I think I'm going to talk about that, because personally I don't mind it not having it in the back, because like my kid always asks for it if it's there. But at the same time, I think people would be paying for it, so I'm going to put a value on that one as well. So let's put screen in the back. The front screen is actually the same screen size. I think it's 15.4, so that's not really a big difference between the two as far as it goes. So now the other thing that I would actually be paying, I would like to pay for, is the glass roof. And this is a very interesting and somewhat controversial, because it's actually not a body color roof. It's actually the same glass. But from what I heard, and don't quote me on this, is that they actually didn't coat it. So that's why they had to cover it up with this panel. I don't really like the fact that they covered it up all in one piece. So like, that's a lot to take out, and it's not segmented anymore. It's one piece that covers up the roof. Everybody's been telling me, can you cut it up? I don't want to cut this up. So, but there is, if you look at the top, as we just showed you, there is not a color roof, but actual glass. So I think I'm just so used to it. I think if you're not a previous Tesla owner, you won't really care. But I think if you are a Tesla owner, you would put a value at that, because a lot of people like that, okay? So the other thing here is, would I pay for, the automated, the rear air conditioner, right? So right now it's a manual vent where you have to move it side to side right here. Would I pay for that? Yes, because I have a young kiddo, and I would pay a little bit, because like my kid can't touch it. I also don't want them to touch it. So it's like I could basically, go to the rear screen and then change it in the setting. Whereas like right now, like if I'm driving alone and my kid is back there, I can't really reach back here and do that. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little bit more intuitive to do it on the screen. So I think that is something I would definitely pay for. So the other one, I think as we move on, one of the other things that I don't really like about it too much is the single pane. So these glasses are not double pane. So if you don't know what that means, it just means it's thicker. It's more sound dampening between the two. So you hear a little bit more road noise on this Model Y compared to the premium, right? So I would pay extra for that too as well. So I'm going to put glass, side glass. All right, so speaking of some of the glass, this has a 7 speaker, whereas the other one has a 15 speaker with a subwoofer. Look, it's not world class. I think definitely you can tell the difference, but you just get less coverage basically. So I think it depends on who you are. I'll still put a price on it, just because like how much would I pay for, that kind of speaker, like to get double the amount of coverage, which means that it's a little bit more immersive, right? So typically, like if you talk about like a 5.1, right, that just typically means you get a little bit more surround sound, or 7.1 or 9, You know, the dot one usually means, I think, subwoofer. I'm not an audio guy, so don't quote me on that. But that's typically what that means. And usually the more speakers around, the better immersive it sounds, right? And it has to be good speakers. So I wouldn't say it's terrible, but you can tell the difference if you kind of come from one to another. One of the other things with these seats, it doesn't have any buttons on the side of the seat, nor anything in the bottom where you could kind of go up and down. So it's still automatic. It just means that it's on the screen like this, and you can go whoop like that. And that's really the big difference. I wouldn't really pay for it to have a button on the side. Like, I'm just gonna get used to this, okay? So that's not a big deal. And then of course the interior right here, there's a center console. I wouldn't really pay for it. Personally, I actually prefer this negative space. I like putting my backpacks, diaper bag, stuff like that in the middle. More like it's like a temporary place to put things when I'm kind of going in and out, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think this is actually not a bad deal. I wouldn't really pay extra for the center console and all that stuff. So yeah. So once we go, let's go to the back side. So once we go to the back, I already kind of talked about some of the other stuff. I told you that there's no heating elements here in the back, no cooling, same textile seats. There used to be a little cup holder right here, but instead of it being right here where you open it, it's now here. Not a big deal. Wouldn't really spend any more extra to have it right there personally. But there is a automatic, so like right now, if you were to like put this down, it's just this little thing right here. And wow, that sounded really loud, but this is the first time I did it on this car. But I would pay for an automatic one because it is much easier. I sometimes haul stuff in the Y, and there are two buttons in the back of the trunk, and you just push that, it goes and it just kind of comes down. You press one button, it just goes down. So definitely automatic seat. Rear seat I would pay for just to motorize that. So I would definitely pay a little bit extra for that. So I think in the back, that's pretty much it, right? As far as there is a difference here. I don't like that there's no like organizer right here, but again, not a deal breaker. I don't think I would necessarily, it's not too big of a difference because like, I mean, we're an accessory store, so we could just like make something. So, I mean, that's a pretty easy add-on, and that'll be far cheaper than in the manufacturing phase and all that. So, and the inside, overall, it drives really well. And you really can't tell a whole lot of difference once you're in the car driving, okay? I mean, obviously, slightly speedier, it's faster if you have a premium. We have a launch, so it's pretty dang fast. But this is still plenty fast, and I don't drive as fast as I used to after having kids. So I think this is okay. So I think it's still a very, very good experience. So we have a couple things in the back that I would be willing to pay. I might go back and forth as I get more ideas, but let's go outside again. So one other thing that I would pay for is TPMS sensor. So this is an indirect TPMS sensor. So what that means is it doesn't use like a Bluetooth sensor that's right here where you can put, you know, the right here. But instead, it basically will tell you if it's flat, and that's about it. So you don't get like the 39 PSI or anything like that. I live in Chattanooga. I go down the street. I stopped taking the street now. I get flat tires there all the time. And it is nice when I can kind of see gradual, right? Like if it's going down and stuff. So I do like the direct TPMS instead of indirect. So that's something that I would actually pay for because I live in Chattanooga. So let's put TPMS. All right, so another thing that's different is this trim is rubberized. This is an interesting one. Look at this. It's like a rubbery feeling. I don't know if I would pay extra, but it's just kind of weird. This is a random, after feeling it out, like it's just like, like, I have no idea. Like this one is not really valued for me at least. All right, so one big thing, guys. So a lot of people, again, in the Southeast will have a garage. In the West Coast, probably not as much. Space is limited there. But this right here on the Juniper Premium, it has a separate plastic piece wing that goes right here. And they did that because so many people were damaging their, you know, their edge right here in their garage when they accidentally open it, right? So a quick tip, guys, if you want to program it, what you can do is lower it to where you want. and then hold it. And that's now programmed to that level. So this is one of the first things you should do if you own a car. And then once you do that, check this out. I don't know why I pushed that. You can push this, and now it will only go up to that level. So hopefully you learn a thing or two now. Boom, like that. So that's kind of cool. But let me get back to the real reason why I talked about this is I really prefer that. Sometimes I still make mistakes. I have never done that yet, but we had a customer that brought their car in that we wrapped. That completely destroyed this corner, and we had to kind of fix that up before we wrapped it. So I would actually pay for that, especially if I'm so there's like trunk hatch, right? Trunk hatch. I don't know what that would be called. Like, it's not a spoiler, right? But it's like a little plastic cover instead. So I would like that compared to, you know, this one thing. This is very much comparable to the original Model Y. It has a little bit more of a, you know, concave right here. The other one's a little bit sharper as it goes down. So yeah, I would happily pay for that. So one of the things that is slightly different, we're already testing this. Also interesting is they ended up using older charge port design. So it kind of swoops in like this compared to the new Juniper Highland. So it's like the older Model Y. So we also had to change the direction of the T logo right here a little bit to the right. So that's kind of interesting. But this charges slightly slower than the Model Y Premiums. So I wouldn't necessarily pay for it because it's like 170 to 250. First of all, I don't travel that much anymore. So personally for me, it's not that big of a difference. So this 170 kilowatt works fine for me, but for some, it might be a big deal. So maybe we could put that like a little bit for people who are traveling a lot more often. That might be a big deal. So charging, okay. The other one is on the Model Y Premiums and anything after that, you can actually, or you actually have access to a HEPA filter. So the HEPA filter basically goes right here. It's a really, really big filter. This is on top of the air filter that you have on your AC. But what that does is you can get Biohazard mode, which basically, if there's any sort of like smoke or anything like that, dangerous like particulates, it'll basically filter that out before it comes in. And Tesla's really done a good job in that. Used to come in the Model S, the Model X still comes in it, Cybertruck, and now it comes in the premium of the Model Y. So that's really, really cool. And this does not have it. So if you're in an area that have really, really high, you know, what is it called? The Air Quality Index, AQI, often, then that might be a big deal. And I think for me, because I do have kids, I would pay for that too. So HEPA, cool. And again, I'm trying to come at this, not being a Tesla owner only, okay? Because we have owned a lot of Teslas, and I'm not trying to compare with necessarily the premium, but I'm really trying to answer the question, like, is it really worth the 5K difference without all this features? So if I added all this in what I would be willing to pay, you know, then the answer we can answer once we kind of add it all up, right? So I have one more thing that I'll talk about, and you can kind of, we don't have to show you the screen here, but this Model Y only comes with basically a cruise control, traffic aware, and then FSD. To be fair though, they usually give a 30-day trial. So if you really want to feel what supervised FSD feels like, you have 30 days to kind of figure that out. And then you could obviously subscribe, or you could buy the whole FSD on your own, right? So you do have options, but I do think that, I don't know, maybe Tesla is missing it a little bit, because I feel like it's kind of a good in-between where, like, if you don't have FSD, you can still do, like, you know, lane keeping, obviously the distance, and then it doesn't do things like auto lane changing and stuff like that, but having like the Autopilot is actually quite useful, or the mid tier. So it's an interesting choice, and you know, maybe I would pay for that, especially for people who are like scared about using FSD. And like, I've been in FSD since 2018, and I feel like that was a little bit scarier because it wasn't quite there yet. But it's come so far now, like it's so good. But I can understand people who are just kind of getting into the autonomous driving to kind of work their way a little bit. So I felt like Autopilot might be a good way to do that, and that's not there. So I think, again, not as a Tesla owner, but maybe a vehicle buyer, I would pay for that extra Autopilot. Again, like right here, you can see there's traffic aware cruise control and then FSD. That is it. So I think that's a pretty good list. And I know I said a lot, but I'm gonna try to kind of, and this is gonna be hard because like it's kind of hard to quantify like what everything costs. But we're gonna try our best. We're gonna do kind of like a live research. So don't hate me for this, but we're gonna go inside. So we're gonna get the camera person to go over here, and then we're gonna use the screen right here, and we'll walk you through everything. All right, so I tried this. We did a real quick demo. No bueno. You can't read my handwriting. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of go down the list and put dollar amounts. At least you can read the numbers. So first off is automatic folding mirrors. To me, that's a pretty big value, mainly because of the fact is I kind of need to do it to actually put it inside. I like keeping my cars in a garage. So I would say I would pay like $500. I mean, that's a very, very wild guess. So I'm just going to put that. Again, this is highly, highly subjective. So don't quote me on anything really. All right. So the second thing is dynamic lights. So I think this is one thing that I would actually be willing to pay for as well. Not really sure. This one's what do you think? How much would you pay for dynamic lights? Like this is a thing that like don't blind people, right? Wow. So high beam and stuff like that.
Oh right, it does it automatically?
Yeah, that's automatically. Yeah.
Oh, I'd pay like 300.
300?
I enjoy that.
That's so cheap.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a lot.
I mean, okay, let's put another. Maybe I'm like overdoing it. All right, I'll put 500 as well for that one. All right, so 500, that's a 5 for the actual dynamic lights. We went back there. I think I wrote that squishy thing, which is a squishy thing. I'm not really going to pay after like looking at it. I'm not going to pay anything extra to get it like hard trims or anything like that. Heated seats and cooling. I don't know. The cooling is such a big deal. I would spend. I'm trying to be mindful, right? Because they're basically having to put. They have to like heating is a little bit different. Like putting a heating element in the back, but I feel like cooling is a little bit different because there's more parts involved. So I mean, I would probably be willing to pay another, well, like $750 or something. All right, so $750. And this is adding up fast, guys. All right, so the screen in the back. I'm just trying to put a value at that. How valuable is that screen in the back? Like, how much do you think people will be willing to pay? $400? I mean, I guess that's not bad if you think about it, because like iPad is about $400, like an iPad mini. All right, so iPad mini is like $400, so like, yeah, let's just say like 400. Okay, so we're gonna do a different color. Go red. 400. Wow, this is getting bad. All right, so side glass. Ooh, I would pay definitely like for all 4 of them to be double pane. Yeah, I would pay like more, like $500 at least. Maybe we do like 150 each, so like 600 total. You know, for all the glasses. So that's 600. Okay, and then speakers. You double your speakers to go from, 7 to 14 plus a subwoofer, and you only get 7 speakers on this one. Oh man, this is would you pay extra for speakers? 7 speakers, double the speakers. $300. Don't ask Marley about prices. All right, we'll do 300 because I don't really care too much. But I mean, your opinion still is an opinion. So that's. I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna be like you too. Automatic rear seat. So right now, that would be another $250. I pay extra $250 for that.
That thing. Yeah.
All right, we'll make it. I don't want to do this math, so I'm just gonna make it 300. Okay.
So. You did a 50 up there.
What?
750.
Okay, fine. 250. Okay. All right, and then TPMS.
To get those installed, how much would it be?
To get it installed?
Like after?
After what? Everything?
Because like, don't you have to take the wheel out and everything?
Well, the TPMS is about like, I think like 150 maybe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, to get it installed or I guess this is a little bit more complicated because maybe you need certain type of, I don't know, right now these are Steelies, so it has the indirect TPMS. So if I did have that, I would probably pay, I don't know, probably another 500 for the TPMS. So let's do 500. Another one on the 5. And then trunk catch. That's the one that replaces that winged area, right, with the where the spoiler would actually sit. Honestly, I would pay another 500, right? I like 500 apparently. I'm running out of space. So charging, I personally wouldn't pay for it. I don't think it's worth it. It's just not that big of a difference. It's interesting that I don't really know the reason behind it, but it goes from 170 versus 250 kilowatt. But I mean, should we put a price on that too, like 250, like to save some time, a little bit of time, so we can do like 250. Running out of space. 250. Okay, and then HEPA filter. I would pay a lot more for that to get access to that. I definitely pay at least, I don't know, probably 5. I don't know anything about pricing, so about like, but I'm just trying to be like what people would actually,
Like value it as.
value it as. So I'm trying to be very mindful of that. So that's a 500 right there. Autopilot. I don't know. I feel like this is something they could have just done, right? It's valued a lot though, but I'm only saying that because I know what it is. But I think like for other people, I feel like they're gonna probably value it at like $200 or something. I don't know, but like if you look at like other like OEM makers, like I don't know, like the Chevrolet's Blue Cruise or maybe that's Ford Blue Cruise and stuff like that. It's a pretty big upgrade, like $1,000 upgrade to get something like that. So like maybe we do like 500. Okay, 1,000 maybe. Okay, so we'll do 1,000. 1,000. Okay, so first off was the mirror, the dynamic lights, and then heated seats and cooling, screen, glass, double pane, speakers, automatic rear seats, like where it folds down with a button, TPMS, trunk catch, charging, HEPA filter, and then autopilot. So if you add it all, $1,000, that's 2,000, that's 3,000, 4,000, 4,550, 6,050. Is that right? Oh man, I'm so good at math. I'm just kidding. This is really easy math. But okay, that's not a good look because that basically says I will be willing to pay more to get the updates of what I want. So right now, I think the conclusion here is simple, right? I think at the price point of 39,900, I think is what it is, right? 39, it's like 40K basically, and then 45K. If you can, if you can push a little bit and get the $45,000 premium rear-wheel drive, all day, right? It's just too close, I think, in pricing, right? Because like, I'm looking at this and these are the things that I'm like missing when I'm driving this, right? And I'm realizing like I do miss the mirror, I do miss the dynamic lights, I do miss like the heated and the cooling seats and all these things. So if I put a value on it, like this is again not scientific, not manufacturing, this is just the value that we put. And apparently I like the number 500 because I put it for all of it. But I think it's not quite worth it. And I'm trying to be like supportive of Tesla as well. I mean, we bought a lot of their cars, so I think we can say for that. But at the current price point between 39 and 45 or 44.9, it doesn't become as worth it as you think. Again, if any of these features you don't care about, this is where you can start making that judgment for yourselves, right? Like, do you care about the folding mirrors? Maybe you park outside. Boom, take another 500 out. So after going through all this, and here's the thing, I didn't even talk about the roof, like what I would pay for that. And I think, again, if I'm coming from a Tesla owner, I care. If I'm not, I won't care that much because it just doesn't make a difference for them. But I think if you're an EV owner or a Tesla owner, like, it's going to be hard for you with getting a standard, knowing what you already had. So like, let's say you're coming from a Model Y, like 2020 or something like that. You're going to get used to some of those things and you're going to feel like it's going a little bit backwards, right? So I think it doesn't make sense. However, if you're a non-EV owner and this is your first EV, it is still a really, really good car. And if you don't care about some of these other features, great. You're going to be fine. It's still a Tesla. It does what it needs to do. It drives great and you'll be happy. And I think that's all that matters when people purchase, like, people get really like crazy about like, why'd you buy this car? Oh, you need it for buying that car. Really doesn't matter. All it needs to, meet is that you are happy with your car and you like driving it. That's really all that matters. And we try to push that. So I think that's the conclusion here. It's like, I think for non-EV owners, it's going to be a great car still. But if you are looking at it, look at some of these key features I talked about and ask yourself, like, is it worth some of this, future shortages? But I think if you are a previous Tesla owner, you're probably going to want with the premium rear-wheel drive at least, or go to the premium all-wheel drive, or, they have the premium, or not premium, but performance coming out in November, I think, like very, very soon, this month. So hopefully that was, this was really a lot more math than I wanted to do on a Friday. But, this is kind of how I'm trying to look at it. Again, I'm trying to look at it not as a previous Tesla owners. I'm trying to look at people who are trying to get into EVs and really try to justify some of that. So this is kind of a fun way to kind of calculate it and see if it's worth getting the Model Y standard. So if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. We just rebranded to DIY Wrap Club, formerly Tez Bros. So we're going to have a lot more content. Make sure you check us out at DIYWrapClub.com. See you later.